the presentation? Hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
I've also,
yes, I can see it.
Yeah, I've also posted the link there for the numeracy center. So instead of, when you go to the Western Cape region on my UNISA, on the link that Brownwin sent for the Friday session, instead of clicking on the tutorial, you must click on the numeracy center. And that will take you directly to the sessions that we have on every Friday. Okay. So let's continue with today's session. Today we go into financial math. And also on Friday, we will continue with financial math. We will do compound interest and time value of your money on Friday. And then we will come back on Monday and continue and do annuities. And then on Friday, we will do annuities, and then we come back and do amortization. And then on Friday, we do amortization, and then we start with the exam preparations, especially on Fridays. Okay, so we're going to first look at how do we calculate interest, and then we look at how we calculate compound interest. And then we'll do I've got 2 exercises because it might take us long. Those who have a financial calculator, I hope it's a Sharp calculator. It's the one that it's recommended for your module. It's a Sharp financial calculator. It's easy to use, especially when we do compound interest. When we do simple interest, everybody's going to use their normal calculator that we calculate normally. We don't have to use any of the functions that are there for financial calculations. Okay. So what is simple interest? We're going to start looking at that. Simple interest is the amount you pay on the amount you owe or you save. That is simple interest. If you invest money at the simple interest rate, you will get an amount, and that we call interest. If you borrow money, they will calculate at a certain proportion or a percentage of the rate of the amount that you are taking for that period. Then they will calculate how much of the amount you will have to pay on top of the installment that you have to pay or you have to repay back. And it is always calculated as a fraction of an amount that was borrowed or saved in the time that you are borrowing it. And it's always constant in that period. So if it's for 4 years, it will be once off. For 4 years, you'll pay an interest rate of 5%. For an amount that you borrowed, you will pay that once off 4% or 5% of that amount you borrowed, regardless of how long you're taking that money for. And because this is simple interest, it's always payable at the beginning of the term. So that is why you pay interest. They will tell you that your interest is 350 rand, and that's what you will pay, and that's the interest you're paying on that money you borrowed. If you were saving, when you save 1,000 for 10 years, but they say you are paying interest at simple interest rate, then they say you will get an interest of 350. They will pay to you at the beginning of the term, and when you get your money at the end from 1,000, it will be just 1,350 because it will include that interest. to calculate interest, we use the formula I is equals to P times R times T, which P represents your present value or your principal amount. R will represent the rate that you will be paying, and T will represent the period or the term, whereas I is just for interest. How do we then calculate the future value of this interest? So for example, like I said, you borrow 1,000 rand and you pay for interest of 350. To calculate the future value of this, we say principal amount plus your interest should give you your future value. Your future value will be your principal amount. If it was 1,000, it will be 1,000 plus your interest of 350, 1,350. That will be your future value that you will have to pay. From this formula, we know that S is equals to P plus I, where P is our principal amount and I is our interest. If we add both of them, we get the future value. So we know what the formula of interest is. It's P times R times T. So if we substitute that P times R plus T, we end up getting, we make P a common factor. So P will be out. What's left will be 1 plus RT. P times 1 plus RT, and that will be the formula we use for calculating the future value of your simple interest. Let's look at an example. You borrow an amount of 7,500 at an interest rate of 15% per annum. What will you have to pay back if you pay back your loan within 4 months? Now, here is the other thing. When we work with interest, or we're going to work with financial maths now, everything is per calendar year or per month. So a year has 12 months, or we always use yearly. So 1 year represents the whole full year with 12 months. So everything we do, for example, like now, we know that our interest is per year. So it means also the term should always be in a year. So if your term is not in a particular year, then you will have to convert it so that it becomes a year. So if we look at this example, our year is 4 months. Our period, sorry, not our year, but our term or period is 4 months. Since it is 4 months, we need to convert these 4 months to a full year. And converting 4 months, we need to divide by 12 in order for it to become a monthly, or in order for it to convert to a year from being a monthly repayment. We know our formula, S is equals to P times 1 plus RT, because we want to know how much or what will we have to pay back, which means what will be the future value of this money that we are borrowing, how much we need to pay back. It includes principal amount of 7,500 plus the interest that we are going to earn. Substituting the values, S is equal to 7,500 times 1 plus the bracket 0.15. Remember now, 15% we divide by 100, because we do not use it as a percent like that, unless if you know how to use your calculator. So we say 15% divided by 100, it's 0.15. And we convert 4 months into a year by dividing it by 12. So it will be 4 divided by 12, which will represent the term. Solving the equation, inside the bracket multiplying 0.15 times 4 over 12, we get 0.5. Solving what is inside the bracket again will give us 1,05 times 1,05 times 7,500, and the answer will be, if we multiply that, it gives us 7,875. Any question? If there are no questions, there is your exercise. Does anyone do not know how to go about answering the question? Are you all fine? Are you able to do it? You need to talk to me.
Hello, I'm struggling a bit.
Okay, so I'm going to say it again. Oh, not again, because this is the first time you will be hearing me. You need to identify what is your S, which is your future value. What will be the value at the end? You need to identify what is your P, which is your value at the beginning. You need to identify what is your R, and you need to make T the subject of the formula. So in the past weeks, we have been doing, I think on Friday, we did activities where we looked at how to change the subject of the formula. So in this instance, you need to make T the subject of the formula, and T is multiplying with R. So somewhere you will have to divide by R, or the value of R, and somewhere you will have to move R to the other side, or RT to the other side, or something like that. But you need to make T the subject of the formula. And your R is 6%, and it is in a percentage form, so therefore it means you need to divide it by 100 to get it to a decimal. Happy?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. When you have the answer, then you can also post it on the chat. And if people agree with you, they should just like it. And if they have an alternative answer, they can post their alternative answer. Are we winning? Do we need help? See, seems like everybody agrees. Is there a question that is different? The answer that is different, so everybody agrees. Anyone who wants to volunteer to do it, so to explain to others who don't know how to answer it, so that then we don't rely on option 3 or 9 years and they don't know how they got there. Anyone? You can unmute yourself. Nobody.
Hi, I'm Zikona.
Thank you, Zikona.
We are given P. We are given 36,000. That is our P, because that's the money Joseph.
Let me get my pen. Yes. Oh, so this
we are
is
given
our
P. 36,000. We have R, which is 6%, and we have S, which is 55,440.
Okay.
So I just substituted everything in the formula as it is. I didn't change. So I've got 36,000.
Huh?
Yes, equals to 36 bracket 1 plus 0.06 T.
How did we get that? We said 6 divided by 100. Okay.
Should I go on? Okay.
Yes, you can go on.
Then simple way, I removed the brackets. So I have equal 36,000 plus 2,160 T. 2,160. 2,160 T.
Okay.
Then it's 55,440 minus 36 divided by 2160 equals to T.
So you said 5540 minus
36,000 divided by.
Oh, so
divide everything by 2160. 2160. Yeah.
Okay. Let me explain to those. Yeah. Let me explain to those who don't know what you are doing. So because 36,000 is positive, so we move it this side and it will be a negative 36,000. And since 2,160 is multiplying with T, therefore we need to divide by 2,160, and that's why we dividing by. And what will be your final answer? T is equals to?
T is equals to 9, yes.
T is equals to 9. When you solve 55,440 minus 36,000, divide by 2160, which is 2,160, the answer you will get will be 9.
Yeah.
The last question. When at least one or two people are done, let me know. Otherwise, I will also check online on the chat. Oh, Kaylin, when you have a question, unmute yourself and ask before we move on to the next one. Don't wait until we move on and post on the chat. Just unmute and say. So how did we get 2,160? We say 36,000 multiply, because we need to remove what is inside the bracket. We need to remove the bracket. So it's 36,000 multiplied by 1 gives us 36,000. 36,000 multiplied by 0.060 will give you 2,160.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And this goes for everybody. When we do exercise and there is something that you don't understand when we are busy, stop us and ask your question.
I'm sorry, Miss Boyz, are you there? I'm sorry, Miss Boy. Not here.
She's probably taking a break while we find the answer.
Okay. Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes, Sikona.
Okay. Please break this down for me. I don't know if I don't understand it or what, but it seems like here I need to have two future. Okay, I have the other future value. Then I need to calculate the other one, right?
What do you need to calculate?
I have. Okay. That's why I was saying I maybe I don't understand this. So the 10,500 is a value that Lonwabo should have 10 months from now.
Yes.
But now there is an initial or a principal value that is 8,000. So do I need to calculate the simple interest for the 10?
Wait, before you go, they estimate that he will need that. That is not the one that he needs right now, Mos.
Yes,
so they
that's
estimate
the
that he will need that
10 months.
10,500 in 10 months
Yes.
from now.
So
Okay.
here, if we look at this according to the formula, what is the 10,500? Is it it's a future value, right? Or is it a P?
No, that will be the future value. That is the money that he will need at that point.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Now, he invested 8,000. Is that an 8,000? He invested 8,000 for this purpose 3 months ago.
Okay.
So if this was 3 months ago, today, 3 months ago, so this is 3, he invested
3 months.
8,000.
Mm.
And he invested it at 11%, 11.5%.
Mm.
And this was invested at a simple interest rate of 11.5%. What will be the present value for this?
If for 3 months,
What is the present value?
but is present value supposed to be months or for the 10 months as a whole?
No, for 3 months. What
Oh,
will be the present? If they are investing 3 months ago, they invested that money. That money
Okay.
hasn't accumulated any interest. Remember that. So your present value in this instance will be 8,000 that he invested. Your term for that 8,000 will be how much?
3.
Will be 3 over 12.
12.
Okay. Then what will be your future value?
8,212.31 cents.
That will be your future value for the first one. So let's go. It's S is equals to, so we calculate the investment future value. S is equals to 8,000 times 1 plus RT, which is our P. Our R is
11.5.
0.115.
115.
And our period
3 over 12.
3 over 12. This is 3 months ago. So the future value for this amount is, you calculated it, you said it's how much?
I'm having a different answer now. It's 8,230.
3 divided by 12 is 0.12 times 0.115 is 0.028 some number plus 1 times 8,000. Agree? Then you get
8,230.
230. That was the 3 months ago. Now, 10 months, you will need some money, which is equivalent to 10,500. Ne? 10 months from now. So now it's 3 months ago. 10 months from 3 months ago is how much?
Sorry?
We call it 10 months from 13 months, or from 3 months will be 13 months. So you can use the 13 as well. So you can actually take the 8,000 and multiply it by the 13 months, because then 10 months, nope, no, you cannot do that. So 3 months, what will make, so probably we need to take the 10,500 and subtract the 8,230.
But now there's no exact answer, because the answer is 2,270 and there's no 270 in the options. Or should we take 2,500 because it's estimated? I don't know. I'm asking.
So should you not look at the interest that you will receive during 13 months? So it's been invested for 3 months and then in 10 months from the date in the question. So you take the 10 plus the 3, so it's 13 months. And that's how you get to number 4.
13 months. Yes, it should be 13 months. Then
Please say that again.
8,000.
So the question says that he estimates that he will need 10,500 10 months from now to replace his computer. So that's 10 months. He invested 8,000 for this purpose 3 months ago. So you add the 3 to the 10 and then you get to 13 months.
Okay, so T is 13.
T is 13, yes.
Thank you.
Plus 10 months. So your T here will be 13. So you will say 13 over 12 times 0.115 plus 1 multiply by 8,000. And what do you get? What will be the answer? 13 divided by 12 times the interest plus 1.
I get 8,996.67.
Then you need to take away from the 10,000. So you say 10,500 minus 8,996.67. And what do you get?
Number 4, 1,503 rand 33 cents. Thank you.
And you see, if you work together, you will reach the highest peak. Okay, and that's how you do simple interest. I just want to also highlight something as well. Because you're writing exams online, you just need to make sure that you write for yourself a fact sheet or cheat sheet formula type of a thing. I think we discussed this on Friday. Make sure that you put your cheat sheet somewhere close by where you are able to answer some of these questions using it. For example, if you are writing a value-based, in the exam, they will only include the formula for the interest, which is, and the formula for the future value, but they will not include formulas on how you calculate your present value if you are given the future value, how you calculate your T if you are given the future value and the present value. You can do all those manipulation of the equations and have them ready for you to be able to answer the question. Okay, so we move on from simple interest and we go into compound interest. So if you have a financial calculator, especially the Sharp financial calculator, you should be able to use it to calculate your, somebody's mic is on, you just need to switch it off. Okay. So if you have a Sharp financial calculator, you don't have to calculate things manually. You will use the function in front of your calculator where you see the N, the INY, the P/Y, the FV, and your PMT, and your PV, and COMP. All those things are used to calculate your financial calculations, especially when you do compound interest or annuities. But if you don't have it, we're going to calculate manually. So what is compound interest? Compound interest is interest you pay on top of the other interest. So when you borrow money from the bank and it is compounded quarterly, every quarter you will be paying interest. If it's monthly, every month you pay interest. Whereas with the simple interest, you only pay it once at the beginning of the term. With compound interest, you pay it compounded, whether quarterly, monthly, yearly, bi-weekly, and so forth. And the formula we use is the future value is equals to your present value times 1 plus your interest to the power of your term or your period. However, there are certain things you need to remember. This is for those who are calculating manually. You will need to remember the following. You will need to remember that before you substitute the value of R, your R will be divided by the compounding period. Before you substitute the value of T, your T will be multiplied by the compounding period. You will have to multiply your T or your term with the compounding period, and you will have to divide your interest with the compounding period. What do I mean by compounding periods? There are different compounding periods. If it's a day, it's daily, and there are 365. Regardless of the leap year, we don't count the leap year when it comes to this. So we're going to use 365 if they tell you it is compounded daily. Weekly, there are 52 weeks in a year. So we use 52 for the compounding period. Monthly, there are 12 months in a year. 3 months, or quarterly, there are 4 quarters, 6 months, biannually, half yearly, semester. There are 6 months, which makes up 2 half of the year. So there are 2 compounding periods. And when they say year or annually or yearly, they are referring to only 1 compounding period. How do we then use this? Remember that we divide the interest by the compounding period and we multiply the period by the compounding period. So let's say we have 12% interest rate for 2 years. And they say the compounding period is monthly. Therefore, our interest will be 12% is 0.12 divided by 12. Quarterly will be 0.12 divided by 4. Biannually, it will be 0.12 divided by 2. Yearly, it will be 0.12. When it comes to the term or the period, we have 2 years, monthly, 2 times 12, quarterly, 2 times 4, biannually, 2 times 2, yearly, it will be 2 times 1. If it's weekly, it will be 2 times 52, and so forth. So you need to know your compounding periods because you're going to be using them. Now, if you have a financial calculator, all what I have just said, I am going to tell you, they do not apply like logically or physically like we do with this, where we divide 12% by 100 first and then divide it by interest. Your financial calculator is programmed in a way that it knows all these things. When we capture the period, we just capture the period by using some function like second function, n and then n again. It will be multiplying with the compounding periods because at the beginning of every step, you need to always remember to put in your compounding period. But if it's not compounded yearly or so forth, then you don't have to remember all those. And your period will just be your n. When it comes to the interest, on your calculator, when you put in the value of your interest, if the question says 12%, you just going to press 12% like 12, 1, 2, and then press the I and Y button, which refers to a interest. Okay, so let's look at an example. And here I'm going to do it both ways. For those with a financial calculator and for those who are calculating manually, who has a scientific calculator, a Casio or something like that. So let's calculate the compounded amount of 500 invested for 10 years at 7.5 per annum, and it is compounded annually. Remember, in the beginning, those who started with the sessions, we do not round off interest. So if this was 7.5, therefore when we divide by 100, it will stay as 0.075. We keep all the decimals. Let's, and we are given. We are given 500, which is our present value, that will be invested for 10 years, which is our T. We are also given our interest, which is our R or I, depending on which book you are using, which we're going to divide by 100, and it's going to be 0.075. And we are told what our compounding periods are. They are annually, therefore it is equals to 1. The formula, we know it is S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T, where P is our present value, which is 500, R is our interest, which is 0.75, and T is our period of 10 years. But because it is compounded yearly, which is equals to 1, we were going to divide 0.1 0.075 by 1, which will still be 0.75. And we're going to multiply 10 by 1, which will remain as 10. Substituting into the formula, 500 times 1 plus 0.075 to the power, this should be to the power of 10. And when we solve the equation, we get inside the bracket first, 1 plus 0.075 is 1.075 to the power of 10. And we solve the power, which gives us 2.06103 times 500. And we get the answer of 1030. Now, let's look at those who have a financial calculator. But before we go to those who have a financial calculator, those who are doing it manually, do you understand? Are you happy?
Can I just ask, if we were told that the amount was compounded quarterly, then would we have had to divide 10 by 4 and 7 by 4?
You will multiply 10 by 4.
10 by 4 and divide 7.
That will be a T. Yes, and this we will divide by 4. You are right.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Those who are going to calculate on your financial calculator, I hope you have your calculators ready and you will follow the steps. Now, this is what I will expect you to do also when you're doing your practices. Every time you answer a question, try and see if you can write the steps, and then once you have the steps, then try and put them on your calculator and see if you know what the question is asking. Same way as those who are calculating manually, they will go and do all the groundwork first outside, like multiplying by this, dividing by this, and labeling all the values that they have, and then coming into the formula and substituting. And those who are calculating manually, please do not try and answer all the questions or everything at once, especially if you have a sharp scientific calculator, not a Casio that has the function to put fractions and so forth.
Sorry, Lizzie.
Yes.
I have a question on the decimals. That is, what is the minimum amount of decimals that we should have in our answers? Because I remember last semester it was 4, and my calculator is set at 4.
Okay.
So it wouldn't matter if we go 5 or 6 as long as we have the minimum of 4.
Okay. So money always to 2 decimals. So now with this, with financial math, you need to take your calculator to 2 decimals. Set up 002 will take you to 2 decimals. Money is always to 2 decimals, unless one in the option they tell you to the nearest rand, or you see the options as rands without decimal places. But always money is to 4 decimals. Sorry, money is to 2 decimals.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so let's do financial calculations. The first step on your calculator, especially those with a financial calculator, is to clear your calculator from any stored values. Regardless of whether you are starting or not, it doesn't matter. It's just for practice. Second function CA, so that if there was any value that was stored on your calculator, it is there. Second function PY, there is a PY on your calculator. It's the first line there after the arrows, there is a P/Y, that is to store the compounding periods. Second function, P/Y, 1, remember, compounded yearly, 1, our compounding period, ENT, and then you press on and off the red button. Your compounding periods are stored on your calculator. Now you're ready to capture the information that you are given. Remember, you're given your present value, which we will call in this instance PV. This will be your present value on your calculator. This is N, and this is I and Y. But now the half will be 0.5. It will be 7.5, and that will represent I and Y. Now, the first thing that you do is to capture your present value. If you are given the present value and the future value, only one of them will have a plus or minus value or the negative value in front, and you will use that plus or minus to do the negative value. So with this one, we are only given the present value. So therefore, we're going to press plus or minus, and then we capture the value, which is 500, and then you will press the button PV to say store the value of my present value, which is 500. Remember, if you are given in the question a present value and the future value, only one of them should have a plus or minus in front, not both of them, only one of them. So if you are given only one, the present value, or you are given the future value, they will have a plus or minus in front of them. Now we can capture the interest. Remember that is 7.5 is 7.5. So you just press 7.5 on your calculator and press the I and Y button, which will store your value as interest. We're ready to capture the period. Now, I'm going to do this step this way because I just want you to make sure that you know that you're always going to have to multiply by the compounding period. But if the compounding periods are 1, you don't even have to do the step. But for the sake of practice, we're going to capture the period or the 10. We say 10, we press second function. On your calculator, there is an XPY. It's on top of I and Y. It's X, it's not an X, it's multiplied by PY. Remember the PY, we captured it earlier, which is that PY, which was your compounding period. We multiply with the compounding periods by pressing second function and pressing the I and Y button, which has XPY, which is written in orange on top of it. And then you press N. And when you press N, you are storing the value of your term or your period. Now you are ready to compute, and you say compute future value. You just press the COMP button and then press the FV button, and the answer you will see should give you the same as, it should be the same as the 1032 rand that we had in the previous question. And those are the steps. They are similar from now on until you go write the exam, until we do amortization. The steps will always be the same. The only thing that changes will be what you are given. Am I giving payment, or am I giving interest, or am I giving N? And what am I computing? Am I computing present value? Am I computing future value? Am I computing interest? Am I computing N? So the steps will remain the same. So if you know the steps, knowing that in the beginning you capture your compounding periods, you go on and off your calculator, and then you capture what you need. When you do present value or future value, you press plus or minus. If they are both in the question, they give you the present value and they give you the future value, only one of them will have a plus or minus in front. will be negative. Your interest, you put it the same way you see it written. If it's 7, you put 7. If it's 12%, you put 12. If it's 1%, you put 1. The same way as you seeing it. You do not convert it to a decimal. Your period, you don't have to do this step. If your compounding period is 1, you just say 10n and store your value of your n. But if your compounding period is different, like your compounding period is biannually, which is equals to 2, you must always remember to come and say second function multiplying by the compounding period. And those are the steps you do. Like with the simple interest, there are formulas that you, especially those who are going to calculate this manually, you need to know how to make T the subject of the formula. Now, here is the tricky part. T is in the power. And when it's in the power, you will need to know how to use your logarithm because you need to bring back T down. And the laws of logarithm says, if I put the log of a value and it was to the power, then I'm going to multiply with the power and it will be T times the log of the value that I am working with. So what I mean is, since you are writing online, this is a nice formula converted already for you to be able to use. You can use this to help you answer the questions that you need. You can put this somewhere safe so that when you answer the question in the exam, you can just look up the correct formula and use and substitute. But this is only for those who are calculating manually. Now, another thing I need to mention is when you calculate T and it is compounded, the answer you will see when you answer the question, that will be a compounded period. So this answer might be 104. And if the compounding periods were quarterly, so this will be 104 quarters. You will need to go back and divide by 4 so that you can take it back to a year. So usually they might say, what is the period in years? But the answer you will get for T will be in quarters. In order to get it to the year, you will have to divide it by the compounding periods. If it was monthly, let's say the period was monthly, it was 12 months. Therefore, you will have to divide the answer you get after calculating T or N by 12 so that you get it to the year. Any question? If there are no questions, I have 2 exercises that you can do. And there is the first exercise. You deposited 4,815 into an account that earns 9.75 interest per year, compounded half yearly. At the end of the period of the investment, you earned 2,231 in interest. Remember what is an interest? The amount you pay plus your present value. What is the number of half years rounded to decimals in which the money was invested? The question is asking you to calculate T, and T is in the power. And also they are asking you for half years. So you don't have to divide by the compounding period like I told you the previous time, only if they ask you What is the number of years? Then you will divide by the compounding period. So therefore, it means when you do this calculation, the answer you see will be the answer you are looking for. Those with a financial calculator, the steps are easy. You're going to substitute the values that are in the blockies with what you have. Let me also assist. You are given the present value. You are also given interest. You can calculate using this interest your future value, which is I plus P. You know what your P is, you know what your I is. You can calculate your future value. So therefore, it means they've given you your future value and they're giving you the present value. They are giving you the interest, which is your R. They are telling you your compounding periods are half yearly, which is 2. And for how long? It's what we need to be calculating. We need to be calculating T. So those who are calculating financial calculator, it's easy. I will come to the manual one, unless if you wrote those formulas. Financial calculator, second function, CA. Clear your calculator from any stored values. Second function, P/Y, and you need to put in your compounding periods. And then press E and T. On and off your calculator, plus or minus. Remember, only one of them can have a plus or minus in front. So I'll use the present value. So you will need, my blockies represent the values you need to put in. So this will be your present value and this is your compounding period. This will be your present value. Your future value, that will be your future value. Remember your future value, which is your interest plus your present value. Or period, that's what we are calculating. So we need to put the rate. Your rate, remember the rate in this instance, especially those who are doing financial calculator, it's 9.75. So you will put your I and Y and you will compute N. So you will press N to compute N. And that's what you will compute, N. Those who are calculating manually, I am going to go and cheat a bit. Okay, I remember what it looked like. So yours will be T is equals to S over P, which will be the log of S over P and the log of 1 plus R. And then you substitute on your calculators. They should be the log function. Just use the log to calculate the answer. How are we doing? Are we winning? Hello? Okay, I can check the chat because I see there's too much happening there. Okay, so I see two options, option 1 or option 2. Remember, you don't have to divide by the compounding periods. The answer you see is the answer they are looking for. They want half yearlies. Half yearlies, it means it's still compounded periods or compounded times. So let's see. We'll start with the financial calculator. We'll see what you have. I'm going to use a different pen to complete the whole exercise. So our compounding periods, there are 2 because it's half yearly. Our present value, it's 4815. What is your future value? Those who calculated it. The future value?
7,046.
7,046, and our interest is just 9.75. And when you press comp N, what is the answer that you see?
7.999, which is
7.999, which is we estimated to 8, which is the correct answer. You do not divide because it says half yearly, the number of half yearlies. Those who are calculating manually, you substitute the values, you will press the log. Our future value, which is 7046.48, divide by 4815, divide everything by the log of 1 plus our R. Now your R will be 9.75 divided by 100, which will be 0.0975.
Yeah.
So it will be 0.0975. And when you calculate all this, you should also get 7.99, which you can also estimate it to 8. Do you know how to use the log on your calculator? There is the log. So once you have calculated what is underneath the bracket, so within the bracket, so it's 7046 divided by 4815. Oh, wait, sorry. 7046.48 divided by 4815 equals, when you get 1.5666, you just press log on your calculator. If it's written in orange or yellow, then you press the second function or the shift on your calculator and then press the log. And it will give you the answer. And the same will happen at the bottom. You do the same, we'll say log plus. Those who have a casual with the fraction, you just put log bracket and do the fraction thingy and divide by the log bracket of 1 plus 0,175 or 975. And that will give you the same answer. If you press the equal sign, it should give you almost the same answer as what we have. It is 8 minutes to, so let's look at the last one. Freddie needs 17,600 in 3.5 years. So in 3.5, what amount must he deposit now to get this money if the amount is 8.15% interest per annum compounded quarterly? What are you given? What is 17,000?
The future value.
It's your future value. The period, which is your T or your N, is 3.5.
3.5.
We need to be calculating the present value or your P, your interest. Now, those who are calculating manually, your R will be 8.15 divided by 100. Those who are calculating, this will be your I and Y with your financial calculator. Compounding periods, these are 4 because it's quarters. Now, with those who are calculating manually, this is where the tricky part is. When you work with two sets of things, you will have to multiply by 4 so that you get your T and come back and substitute into the formula. Once you've calculated this, you will have to divide by 4 this answer. So 8.14 divided by 100 will be 0,0815 divided by 4 will give you your R, and you come and substitute into that formula. Those who are calculating manually, financial calculator, second function CA, second function P-Y, and you put in your compounding periods, which are 4, and you press E and T button. Then you go on and off your calculator, and then put plus or minus. You are given the future value, so you will put in your future value. Then you put in your period, which is 3.5. You will say 3.5, and then you will go and say second function, and you will press the multiply by PY, which is on the I and Y button, and you will press N. What I always like to say is you say second function N again, or your times PY is on the N button. So you will say second function N, which means you press N and then you press N again. You will press N twice because the first N is that times P-Y. The second N is to store the value. So that's how I would like to remind myself that I need to press N twice. Then you need to press 8.15 and press I and Y button, and then comp and present value, and that will give you your answer that you are looking for. Those who are doing it manually, so which is a little bit harder now, 3.5 multiplied by 4, which is 14. Let's change color and go back to red. So that will be 14, and 8.15 divided by 100 equals, divide by 4 equals 0.2 0.20375. Remember, interest you do not round off, so you go write the whole number as you see it. 0.020375. Now we come here, we substitute, we are given our future value, which is 17,600 equals our present value. That's what we need to be calculating, 1 plus our rate, which is that long number. I'm just going to write the 3 digits, but you will have to write all of them because you will have space. So the power of t is 14, and you make p the subject of the formula. So if I leave p on its own this side, then I will have to say 17,600 divide by everything that is multiplying the p, which is 1 plus 0.020375 to the power of 14 is equals to p. And you can solve for p. So the answer you get here should be the same as the answer they get there. I don't have a calculator now. Everybody's using the calculators. If you calculated it, should be quick. And those with calculators, they say it's option 3. So if I come here and substitute the values back, it's 4. Future value is 17,600. Our N, we calculated that, and you are saying it's 13,200. Am I getting it right? Option 3. You have the calculators. Option 3. And that's how you answer the questions. So I'm just going to show you 2 more last questions, but we're not going to do that because time is up. On Friday, we will continue. For 30 minutes, we will do compounding periods again so that it's still in your mind. And then we will do time value of your money, which works with the same concept as the compounding period, but we will be moving the money backwards and the money forward. But the formulas and calculations, whether you're doing scientific calculator or you're doing financial calculator steps, they are all the same for that. So we will dedicate 2 hours to compounding periods and time value of your money on Friday. Okay. These are some of the type of exercises. We will do them again on Friday. So we will use this as our exercise on Friday. So yeah, they give you that he invested, our present value, interest, compounding periods is monthly, how many number of months he has to wait. And this is also one of those scenarios because they are looking for the number of months. It means the T you calculate will be the T that they are looking for. Or your N you get when you say compound, compute N, it will give you the value that they are looking for. You don't have to divide by the compounding period. They also give you the future value. So, but this exercise, we will still do it on Friday. The other exercise that we will continue and do on Friday is this one also. So, and that concludes today's session. But before you leave, I need to do the recap, and I am going to post the feedback form on the chat as well. Please make sure that you complete the feedback form. Please make sure that you complete that feedback form. And while you're busy completing the feedback form, I can just quickly recap on what we did. So today, what we did, we looked at interest. We said interest is the amount or the money you pay at the beginning of the term. And then we also said to calculate the interest, we use I is equals to P times R times T, which P is your present value, R is your rate, and T is your period. We also looked at compounding periods or compound interest. We said a compound interest or a compounded interest will be interest you pay on top of other interest. It's interest on top of interest. And to calculate the future value of the compounded interest will be S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T. Where you need to remember, if you are going to be calculating manually, remember that your T, you're going to multiply by the compounding period, and your R, you're going to divide by the compounding periods. And we've learned that if we're going to calculate or find or make T the subject of the formula, you need to know how to use the log, especially for those who are calculating manually. Otherwise, if you're using a calculator, the steps are the same. You always need to remember to clear your calculator from any stored values. And you also need to remember that if you are given the future value and present value in the same question, you will just need to make sure that only one of them has a plus or minus in front of them. Otherwise, thank you for coming through. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if there are no questions,
I do have a question.
Yes, Ashley. Oh, Zikona.
Yes. Please, I think maybe for Friday, if you have a calculator, just please punch in the exercise 1 we did. I've been doing it again. It still gives the 4.09. But I don't know what I'm not punching. I'm punching in as it is. As compared to the financial calculator. Remember, it says semi or which was the 2, semi-quarterly. Now, with the manual, there's nothing that puts in the 2. But with the financial calculator, there's a 2 that's being put in. That one.
Yeah, because we did it all wrong. Good that you asked. You need to divide your rate by 2 because it's compounded by annually.
So the 0.0975, I had to divide by 2.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you also for picking it up because I would have not noticed that we didn't divide by 2. So you always have to divide by 2. So I hope those who are watching the video will have to wait until the end of the video to realize that we did something wrong when we were doing that exercise. Thank you for picking it up.
Thank you.
No problem. Any question? If there are no questions, thank you guys. You can go enjoy your rest of your Monday. I will see you on Friday. If not, see you on Monday when we do annuities. Toodles.
Thank you, Lizzie. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizzie. Bye-bye.
Bye.